Ladies and gentlemen, I'm about to make your lives 100% lifetime guaranteed easier. I can't tell you how many numerous comments I've gotten, comment after comment after comment. I can see that a lot of people are confused about the Fast and the Furious movie series. What I'm about to do is create a timeline for how these movies chronologically function, okay? Because we all know exactly what I'm talking about here, that Han is the perfect example of why everybody is so confused. The fact remains that Han was in Tokyo Drift as a main supporting character to the main character of Tokyo Drift, Sean. Okay, we all understand that. Warning, I am about to spoil some major stuff here with the Fast and Furious movies, so if you haven't seen any of them, why? Okay, let's get started. First we have The Fast and Furious, which features Brian O'Connor, Dominic Toretto, Letty, Mia, all the original cast. And it was a great movie. It featured lots of intense car chases, very dramatic scenarios, and just plain awesomeness. It was a great film. I have to say, the first movie is my #1. I'll go into the rest, but I have to say, the original The Fast and the Furious is probably the best out of all 6 movies. Brian and Dom have this big major race at the end. They have a drag up to this runway, but then Dom ends up crashing and he loses his car. But Brian has a change of heart and he gives the keys to his car because
I owe you a 10-second car.
Now we have the second movie, Too Fast, Too Furious, which features Brian O'Connor and some new people. You get your first look at Roman Pierce, and then this other girl that Eva Mendes plays. She's the detective that O'Connor kind of has feelings for. And they have their own little spiel. It's a drug lord. They're trying to go undercover, find out what's been going on. And the deal was that if O'Connor helps them out, catch a criminal, his criminal record gets wiped clean and he gets put back on the force. Of course, the movie goes through, it suffers a lot of cliches, it's kind of cheesy. For a sequel, what do you expect? But thankfully, it was good enough to spark another film. Now this is where it starts to get crazy. Tokyo Drift features a completely different cast. You have the main character, Sean, the supporting character, Han. Sean and Han. But these two guys drive around Tokyo and Sean is introduced to drifting. Now this goes on for quite a bit of the movie. There's some romantic drama, there's a big tense confrontation between Sean and this guy called the Drift King. The main reason is that the Drift King, or Takahashi is his name, that he has relatives that are part of the Yakuza. So obviously, if there's a crime lord involved, there's gonna be action. And that's precisely what happens. At some point, there's a big car chase that ignites between Han, the Drift King, and Sean. Han is in front, Sean is in the middle, Drift King is in the back. Unfortunately, this car chase ends a little bit tragically because Han gets sideswiped by a white car. This is important. Han gets swiped by a white car, gets T-boned, his car flips, starts leaking gas, and boom, it explodes. Ever since Fast and Furious 6 came out, a lot of people are debating, Han survived, he got out, he disappeared, he and another person who were featured in the other films is gonna come back because they survived. But you honestly think Han had enough time to get out of the car? I mean, you can see him. He is in the car, he is incapacitated, he's very injured, and he cannot get out. In the short time that he had the opportunity to get out, he never seized it. For all we know, he wanted to die. There's some very legit reasons for that. Or he just didn't have the time, and unfortunately the explosion killed him. Now this is where things start to get confusing. Fast and Furious, not The Fast and The Furious, came out later, in 2009, I believe. And it features all the original cast. Brian O'Connor comes back, Dominic Toretto comes back, Mia and everyone from that. Plus, you also get to see a portrayal of Han in this as well. Now this is where it confuses people because a lot of people start thinking, wasn't Han killed in Tokyo Drift? A lot of people didn't quite understand the fact that Han was featured in Fast and Furious for the first about 20-30 minutes or so, but then he disappears. You would assume that possibly that goes into Tokyo Drift, but after the events of Fast and Furious, and then we bring out the 5th one, Fast 5, Han comes back. Again, people started debating, why is Han featured in Fast 5? Why is he so important? And that's when it started to make sense that Tokyo Drift, which also features a cameo by Vin Diesel, happens chronologically after Fast 5 and Fast and Furious, the 4th and 5th films, respectively. Bottom line, that's the major plot point that really confuses a lot of people, is that Han died in Tokyo Drift, but Fast and Furious and then Fast 5 both feature him as a character. And then silence for about a year or so, and then we finally get the news that Fast 6 and Fast 7 are going to be released. I just saw Fast and Furious 6 yesterday, and I gotta say, it was a very mind-blowing film. Because not only was it really good, it featured all the themes of the previous film, brought out a lot of family, values, and all that, but it does lead us up to Tokyo Drift. I would suggest that once the credits start rolling, you should stick around for about 5-10 more minutes. Ladies and gentlemen, again, I'm going to talk about some serious spoilers here, so if you haven't seen any of these films, again, why are you still under a rock? So we get a lot of action, a lot of tense themes, and a lot of reunion, people being brought together again, and lots of family and stuff that is just... But, then the action ends. Our heroes are clear, they go back to Los Angeles, you get to see the house from the Fast and the Furious, and it is just a good old time. But wait. Doesn't this look familiar? RX-7, isn't that the car that Han drove? There's that big-time drifting scene that threatened a lot of lives, but still somehow they pulled it through. Wait a second. Yep, that's exactly what happened. But wait, when we watched Tokyo Drift, we didn't see anybody get out of that car that T-boned him. So who was in the car? What?
Dominic Toretto. You don't know me. You're about to.
That's right, folks. The big action star who was featured in The Expendables, The Transporter, Crank, Crank 2, all the wonderful action films. He is, in fact, Han's murderer. Now, this was a rumor that a lot of people brought up, but it was confirmed by Justin Lin and the actor who played Letty, Michelle Rodriguez. It is confirmed that Jason Statham's character is, in fact, the brother of the villain from the 6th film, Owen Shaw. Jason Statham will play Ian Shaw. So there you have it. I really hope that that led up a lot of confusion because I saw a lot of comments and it was pretty ridiculous. But bottom line, I really hope that this made a lot of sense for you guys who have seen the movie. And for those who haven't seen it but are still watching this, congratulations, you just spent 5 to 10 minutes on something that you could have spent hours on watching great films. So in a nutshell, think of the Fast and Furious series like this. 1, 2, 4, 5, 6, 3. Tokyo Drift takes place after the 5th and 6th film. Now while I have your guys' attention talking about the Fast and Furious films, I have to give my own opinions on this. I gotta say, I love the Fast and Furious films. It sucked that Tokyo Drift didn't feature a lot of the main cast, but that little cameo by Vin Diesel at the end was kinda nice. And then figuring out that Tokyo Drift takes place after the following sequels, the 4th and 5th films, and that the 6th film leads us up to Tokyo Drift, it was actually a very cleverly placed idea by the director. It was something that I was kind of hesitant on if I wasn't sure that that's what he was planning from the start, because Justin Lin did indeed direct the last 4 films, Tokyo Drift, Fast and Furious, Fast 5, and Furious 6. And then the fact that Dom is featured in a cameo at the end of Tokyo Drift and we see that little race between Dom and Sean, I sincerely hope that's because Dom figured out that Han was murdered, he goes to Tokyo, finds out the biggest racer in the name, and that turned out to be Sean. He ends up trying to recruit Sean for their next operation, which could be vengeance against Han's killer. But even though Sean is cheesy, he kind of brought the ratings down for Tokyo Drift. If you guys look closely at his character, he has the exact same spirit that Dom and Brian have. And I gotta say, being a part of Dom's family, Sean would be perfect. Even with his redneck accent and ridiculous drifting skills. All of you guys, please, don't watch Furious 6 first. Watch all the films before. You can put maybe an hour and a half in each day to watch all these films. They're really good. And then go check out Furious 6 in theaters. It is one of the best series of all time. Again, I really hope this clarified some things and that you guys have a better understanding and are getting as excited for Furious 7 as I am. That'll about do it for tonight, folks. Thank you guys for watching and you all have a wonderful night.
I ride or die. graduated to a whole new level.